We're about to leave this amazing, beautiful forest that I have lived in and loved for 16 years, and it's a 40-acre bit, but it's surrounded by a couple thousand acres that are uninhabited, and we have just been so blessed and comforted and held and fed and nurtured and supported, and I don't know how to let that go. And I know I have to take my child somewhere that's safe and welcoming for them. And I don't blame my child at all. I'm really just heartsick about what's happening in Arkansas and what's happening in the country, and I probably didn't tell any of my YouTube people what's going on, so let me do that real quick. On November 7th of 2020, our local police chief here in our community was outed as a Proud Boy who was calling for death and violence to liberals via that app, Parler, I think it is. And so what happened was, the very day that I learned, November 7th, I decided we were moving. We had been discussing it. My child and my husband have wanted to move for a long time, and I've had trouble with that. But that was like a huge wake-up call for me. So November 7th, we decided to move. December 7th was my husband's first day of work in Maine. And so it all happened very fast, and we decided to send him off to find a job, find a home, make sure everything was going to pan out before we uprooted everything here. We have a lot of animals and a lot of stuff and a lot of history here, so it was going to take time, and it really still was the best option. Been hard to be apart, but it was the best option. And then so November 7th was a very big trauma activation for me. I was terrified, and the decision to move was very much from the action of flight in the fight or flight patterning. Then there's continued unrest as we approached the election, and the inauguration, and the attempted insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th was also just a huge trigger for me, and it was really rough for the family, for us to deal with packing and, the normal life transition of needing to pack and move is just tricky enough without the layers of trauma, and the way the trauma impacts my other neurological and cardiological glitches was just making it really difficult for my child and I to spend the winter alone. There were many hard times and challenges and snows and things, and then so we're almost there, we're almost packed, but Arkansas continues to demonstrate to me that it's no longer a safe place for my family. And what's happening now is, just a couple of days ago, the state of Arkansas passed the first, basically piece of legislation that allows for anyone in the healthcare field to just decide not to help a person because they have a moral objection. And it's targeting trans individuals needing gender reassignment support and care. But it can very easily be extrapolated to denying any kind of care, mental, behavioral, physical, to any kind of gay. And then it could, the pundits and, analysts are saying that this is a very dangerous precedent that it could actually lead to a place where anyone could just deny anyone life-saving care on account of any random whim. Didn't like your hair that day, didn't like your tattoo or your skin color or your religion or your gender or your sexuality or your weight, your body type, whether or not you smoke and drink. It's a huge violation of the oath that healthcare providers take in order, to become a part of that field. And I know in the big picture that it takes this kind of bullshit law to climb its way all the way to the Supreme Court and help us to create national level policies and occasionally even go as far as making amendments to the Constitution. And I understand that that's the process and that's where this journey is pointing, provided that the forces of kindness and care and decency win. But it really fucking sucks. Like, yesterday, one of those goddamn political robots called my kid, and my kid is non-binary, which is on the trans spectrum. For many of the non-binary people will identify with and use the expression trans non-binary, and then it's really personal for each person how they language their identity. That's not the point. So this stupid political robot calls, and my kid, who's already in that moment upset, thought that my husband was calling to console them, answered the phone, and it's this political survey robot that says that queer children are confused and they don't need basically what my kid hearing on the phone was that they don't deserve health care and they don't count. And my child, who was struggling to survive amongst bullies and toxic fundamentalist beliefs and hate, my child who is surviving and finally thriving because we're moving, is now on the floor in a blobby mess because of these fucking robots saying that my kid doesn't fucking deserve health care. Fuck you! See, I'm gonna miss living in the woods, because how it's gonna be to scream this way in the city is not gonna work very well. And if you're wondering what's going on with my voice, this is one of the kinds of aphasia that I deal with regularly, several times a day for for sometimes not very long. Unfortunately, sometimes it sounds like I am mocking a foreign language speaker, and I don't ever want anybody to be thinking that. Yeah, so I have to leave, and I wasn't planning it, and I'm very excited about what's next, and we have a beautiful home. My husband has picked a beautiful home, but I'm feeling very fragile and bruised and exhausted by all of the things it takes to be a temporarily single parent and disabled and under constant trauma activation by the politics, and we didn't even turn on any TVs, and I avoid the news sites very often, but this fucking robot called into my home and spoke to my child, and the people who did this don't care. And yet this is supposedly the moral high ground. Deny healthcare to someone because they don't fit in your 2,000-year-old set of rules. I'm sorry, but it's time to update your rules and get a heart. Fucking fuckheads. Thank you for letting me vent. If you're still here, I hope I haven't offended anybody with my honesty and my passion, but I'm just being really where I'm at right now. So that's that. I still love you, and I hope you will be kind and gentle to each other and to me.